Hello, everybody. Welcome. Today we are reviewing Brianna's work. Brianna is one of our character designers and artists on the project From Distance, and this is some work in progress that she's doing on character designs for the character Ace, and we are going to give some feedback to help guide her work on the project. So first thing we're doing is we're bringing in the unclothed version so she can understand the underlying structure of the character before. Hey, what's up, JJ? Um, uh, Underlying structure of the character before moving forward, and we can build on that underlying structure before we venture into trying to create or add in the uniform, which we can reveal. I believe it's here. If we turn off this, you can see the uniform structure underneath there a little bit. Right, so let me turn that up. Right, you can see the uniform structure there, but in order for that to work, we have to have the underlying body working. So Tinog, thank you for the follow. Pretty good. If you remember, I think I told you about how I was speaking some potential lighting compositors. There's someone who I was interested in. You guys can hear me. Friggin' TikTok and my microphone. I don't know what's going on. Had them do a test. They did an amazing job. Oh, sweet. Yes, I'd love to see what how it came out. So we're gonna drop the opacity on the underlying drawing too, so we can see Brianna's drawing versus. So first things first is just thinking about anatomy, right? Um, if you turn off, if we click Brianna's version off, right? We've got this. This is critique layer. Let's make that. Note that. All right. So you can see this arm kind of has this sort of like arc here, and that also has an arc, which is kind of contradictory to the way an arm is built, right? Um, in anatomy, we have a couple things going on. Well, so here we're going to have shoulder muscle, right? If we were to look at Milo's or Ace's shoulder muscle, and then we're going to have arm muscle or arm fat, and then this could puff out like this if he had some muscle, but more than likely, if we're going to show this arm fat here in design, we're going to make that straight. And since he's not very bulky, we might just leave a line there to indicate the shoulder, right? So then we've got this sort of like shoulder line, and then the bicep, and then under here is a much more appealing design than an arc, right? Like that's not kind of a natural shape of an arm. All right. And then this is the wrist here. And I know he has a big, kind of a big, yeah. So what we're trying to do here is it looks like she kind of came straight with this, but what we're really wanting to do is we're needing this to go up, and then this can come straight, right? So this has got to stay curved, and I might have slightly hinted at it, but it didn't fully, so that we know that we get thin when we come to the hand here, right? Because that wrist is bent into that crossed arm pose, right? And then we've got, and I have to always turn this off to make sure, see what's my pose and what's her pose. And because he is sort of like in this defensive pose, right? Like we don't have a relaxed shoulder here, right? That shoulder is kind of like straight, up, right? Because he's in there. So his shoulders are right. My shoulders aren't down like this. I'm up like this. See my shoulder here, right? So that shoulder needs to have a little bit more aggression to it, if that makes sense. So it's gonna come up, and because yeah, I've got kind of a dip here when I originally dropped. So you could get away with coming out like this, because if we're coming out like that, then that allows us to go with a straight here, right? And we could just keep this whole thing round, this whole side round. We always want to do straights versus curves, right? So if the edge of an item is curved, then we're going to want to add a straight on the other side. All right, just to give the body more more interest, right? And then we've got his chest, right? And it looks like she didn't actually indicate that line there, but I have, kind of a little bit of breast tissue. He's got some meat on his bones. And then all of these look good because she copied straight, but she eliminated some turns, right? Noob Night. You eliminated some turns, right? You made this straight, which simplification can be good, but it also takes a little bit away from the design, right? Because the hair is right, like there should really be a connecting line here, right? And then his forehead, right? And I didn't draw it, so that's on me. But like if you think about his hair like this, then we have his cheek and his right, and his chin, right, and so that we maintain this hair, which you got that really good. And then so it was my bad here, but I can also see where there was some you kind of pushed it a little bit, but there's a difference between your knee hits and where my knee hits, which is slightly lower, right down here. But these two things, the knees. Hey, how's it going, Moreau 007? This is Clip Studio Paint. And we're doing a little draw over. All right, so because this is actually where the calf begins, these two things need to match up. And so in my original drawing, I kind of screwed up, right? Because we got this low back leg here, but this dip here, those really should be even. And but you can also see where I screwed up here in the feeder, not on the same level. So we may want to address that versus messing with where the knee position is. So we're going to want to bring this whole foot down, honestly. So let's match this height here. All right, so if we're going to make that the new knee height, we're going to want to now adjust this back line to land here. Right, so that we get these feet on the right same level. Keep the knees, when we originally drew them, they kind of landed somewhat in the right spot. But now that we've come down here, we're going to need to extend. Let's also get this calf height at the same height. Right, So that turn is going to occur there now. And then we're going to bring this whole foot down here so that now our feet are at somewhat the same height, right? Jackie Annie, thank you for the Jacani, thank you for the follow. So, right, and so now that we've got that lower, now those structures are match up a little bit better than what was before, and his feet are on the same level. But to jump back, I don't know if we got it, but you scaled up everything, which the reason I scaled it back down was that if you scale it up or change the scale for the original sketch that is sized to fit on the lineup, then we're going to have to rescale the whole lineup. So we want to keep the characters at least at the scale that they were dropped in, and if we want to change their scale, we have to change everyone's scale simultaneously. So before you change the scale of the character, you check in with me. That way we can kind of adjust everybody together. But if you scale them up this big, we're not going to be able to fit Mom, Milo, and everybody on the same page. And one of the reasons we're doing this exercise is to get everybody on the same sort of like working scale. So I made a copy. I called it Nick, or I'm just going to call it Brianna Resize, or Brianna No Scale. Right, and we're going to work from that one where we haven't scaled it up. Jinto Dai. Thank you for the heart me. All right. So we've got that working. And I don't understand why the heck I'm losing network. Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah. This is interesting. I don't know. I just gave my son the. All right. Another thing I'm noticing here, we've got an interesting bend, and I don't know how much. So I always have to check to see like how much is what I drew and how much is what. But we've got this interesting decision to make the leg go down to this point and then turn, which kind of violates like anatomy, because that's a very painful looking turn. Because in the original, it's not so much a turn or breaking the line. This whole thing is curved, right? And the reason that's curved is because back here we have a straight and here we have a straight, right? So the straights are on this back side of the leg. So this front side is curved. So whenever on opposing pieces of the character, whenever we have a straight, it's usually opposed by a curve, right? So like we've got this curving underwear band with potentially a straight line here, right? That's not a bad example, but right, that's how we kind of do this, and it's usually on the opposite ends of the legs, right? So for instance, these can now be straight because this is going to be curved, right? So as we think about the shapes, and then this shoulder, we probably want to flatten out a little bit too, right? So curve, flowing curve, not straight on this side. So curve versus straight, right? Straight, curve, straight, curve. On the arm, straight. Let's see, let's change color there. Let's change colors. Make it blue. right? So we got our straights and we have our curves. Straight, curve, straight, curve, right? Straight, and technically this should be a curve, right? On his face. I mean, we can do a little bit of a straight, but we probably want to soften it a little bit because he does kind of have a chin. And I don't know, did I have a curvy? Was it softer in my drawing? Yeah. You see that's roundedness versus the straightness of the back of his head. Right? So, although we did in red initially, let me get my color history here. Thank you for the follow. And Jin Tokdai. Can you help me with the pronunciation of your name? As I butchered it, I'm sure. Let's see here. History. Oh no, we want color history. Window color history. Color history. Let's pull that over. All right, and we're gonna close that back up. All right, so. And so we've got curve out here, so we got straight back here, right? And we're continually playing with that dance of curve versus straight throughout the design. Yeah, I don't know how much did you venture into the inner, right? Yeah, so I would go one for one. Whatever I drew, go over it. Yeah, you see how you dipped in a lot here, but we changed that leg. The rest of this is looking good. So then as we move to the side view, I can see you struggling, right? First off, we it gets wonky, right? We got some landmarks here, landmarks that don't really line up anymore after we've changed the after we changed some of the positions of him over here. So one of the things is that the human body kind of does this thing where it's we have the head, and the head sits on usually a curved spine, right? Because the rib cage sits kind of forward, and the hips, and then the legs do this thing to the knee, right? No matter what the structure of the human is, they kind of fit that sort of. What is the structure? Let me make sure I do it right. Right, head, chest. Nope. Hold on. So head, and then the neck does this, chest, hips, legs, right? So this is the rhythm of the human body. The arms are usually back here, right? So head, chin would come out something like this. Chest, right? Down to the hips. The thigh bones would usually go back to the kneecaps, then down to the feet, right? And no matter what the human structure is, it usually fits this sort of S rhythm, right? And it's going to fit that whether they're chunkier, thinner, right? And so right now what you've got is, I mean, not to make that sound, but right? It's very straight. It's like robotically straight, and it loses all of this, straight and curve that we've. Oh, hey, I am brutally critiquing your work, so welcome to your critique. I'm recording it so you can go back and review the parts, and I understand you're probably pretty early on in it, but yeah, I will. I'm recording it so you can go back and watch. So one of the things I did was I scaled him back down. Nope, this is Clip Studio Paint. I scaled him back down because if you change his scale while doing the design, when we bring him back in to size compare him to everybody else, he's going to be too big. So we don't want to scale him in here. If you need him bigger, just zoom in, right? So I shrank him back down, and we're going to go, I shrink down him, or I shrink down your over draw to fit the original. It's still in here. It's in a folder called Brianna, and then I have Brianna no scale. That is kind of scaled to it, and then I'm doing the critique over top. So you can turn that on and off. All right. Yeah, OpenTunes is free. So what we're saying is that the body has this S rhythm that we need to apply to every character, no matter what they are. So he definitely does not have this hunchback. He's gonna have, his head is kind of a, a thing sitting on top of a sphere sitting on top of that, right? And then his neck to his chest, right? And then his body's going to go back to his hips, right? And then his feet are going to do the same thing that they would down to wherever the knees land. And his hips are probably going to be higher than that. No, his hips are, because this is his crotch, his belly, his chest. So we're going to lose like almost everything that you have back here is going to go away. And all of that space go forward in order to, right? And then he's got these little feet. That's one thing about Ace. He's this big body, but these little feet. And no square toes. His feet come to a point. Right? Right? And he might have a little bit, but yeah. So even though he's bigger, he's still got this shape that fits the S. So I'm going to knock back your sketch a little bit, right? This is really helpful because I was working on this morning and so many references. Yeah, from were you looking at the cartoon? Yeah, and this is not even taking into account that the pose he has, right? Because the pose he's got, he's obviously standing at some sort of angle, right? And if we were to look at him from the side in this pose, we're not going to have this straightforward pose, right? But now that we kind of understand his structure from the side, right, we're going to have to kind of create a 3/4. I was looking at the cartoon, the real world profiles of side profiles and character turns and cheats. Yep. Yeah. So this is all, this is all part of the process, right? For me and for you, because, I'm throwing a lot at you all, considering, I'm throwing a lot at you. I'm kind of expecting you to get up and running on things that I haven't even really figured out myself. All right. So we're gonna just to understand it better, we're gonna do a drawing of Ace if he was just standing neutral, right? Right, not in the current pose, but just to get sort of an understanding of his body structure from the side. And we can maybe do a little bit of that dip here to separate his head from his back, right? right? And if this is eyes, actually I need to bring that nose down a bit, right? And maybe the challenge is that I don't draw him in the pose. I give you this reference for you to then try and see if you can hit the pose that you have as a challenge. You know, part of this is challenging you and Fred to see what you can do or infer from what I've kind of hinted at, right? So that's where his mouth is supposed to be, right? Vino Judd, hello. I was trying to draw him in a pose when turning and finding the placement as rough. You know, and one of the things that you should probably, another way to have gone about this would have been to, I'm going to drop that back a little bit, is break this down, right? Like, you got his arm, right? Is it coming at me or is it going away from me? Is this coming at me or is it going away from me, right? And identifying the shapes, right? There is a hand supposed to be in here that I didn't. Yeah, what is this doing? Right? What is his chest? Right? And because he's triangular, he's triangles. Yeah, you could think of everything kind of in a triangular shape, but like, what is this body shape? His body shape is actually kind of a big, right, cone. Right? And just break him down into these shapes, these simpler shapes, right? Right? And then turn those simple shapes first, right? Because if he is this cone is got to go like, is going to go like, right? And there might be additional things, you know, additional muscles, but right, you're thinking in terms of these cones, and so, and it's not a, maybe it's, if it was a circular, if this is completely circular, then yes, he would be wider. Yeah, and maybe I'm not hitting, right? And if this is the widest point of his body, you were a little high here. You know, we want to stay. Yeah. So that's all I'm saying is like, there's a lot of inference that you have to make. And so, you know, it's a character design challenge, right? It is like, how much, based on what I give you, how much can you build? Because you're going to have to build some of this design to do this. But I'm going to guide you along the way. I'll give you more clues and to the path, and we can continue to sort of like build him out. So I think I want to increase his head, give him a little bit more meat here. Right. So nose, mouth, that ear probably is about in the right place. Hassan, thank you for the follow. This is so interesting seeing the detail involved in character design. Oh, thank you, Crystal. Yeah. Where are you at in terms of design of character? Yeah, have you gotten, you haven't gotten to that phase quite yet. Right. And there's some, you know, some tweaks we could probably do here. Like, we could probably move him back a little bit at the top. Right. Like, I could see shuffling this back a bit. So then at that point, we need to start thinking about those straights and those curves. All right. So, Outcast, thank you for the follow. Goth Pim, thank you for the follow. All right. So, that gives us kind of a structure for Ace. Keynotes, thank you for the follow. Yimi, oh, may you, thank you for the follow. Wow, you guys are just, so we're getting to the point where I'll take a short break if we get back up to 10. Are we also adding a back view as well for the turns? Yes. What I really want, let's take it slow. Focus on these three for now. I'm going to give you notes. Let's focus on these three, get these working. But we're, because he kind of starts at a 3/4, but we're going to need a full front, where he's looking dead at us. The 3/4 side, 3/4 back, and then full back. So, Aaron, hello. Yeah. So that is kind of, might as well give you some guidance on the hands too. So hands are going to be pretty simplified. All right. All right. And his hands probably should be kind of small at the end of his arm. All right. No real defined. And give these knees kind of a triangular shape. I know it's his suit, but like if we were to like put his knees on, it's a triangle. And just keep triangles in mind when you're thinking about Ace. All right. Everything is a triangle. All these little lines and shapes and turn decisions are triangular in nature. All right. So, all right, back. Did you take the front, copy it over here, and then trace it, and then just flip it and make it the back? Because one of the simplest and best tricks for doing the back 3/4 is to trace the front 3/4, right? So, all right. So we just. Right, and then we slide that over. And honestly, we don't even have to flip it, right? We just now need to think about the center line and how it'll go up his back here. And you can almost see some of those same lines emerging that we're seeing here, right? Right, some of the lines that we inferred here to make that side view are apparent as we work on this back view, right? And we all have a little bit more junk back here. So this, unless you want his cheeks hanging out, we we don't want Ace in a thong, all right? I mean, we could, but Aldo, thank you for the follow. I'm the real BK. Thank you for the follow. So, boy underwear. It's gonna kind of cover the little cheeks there. So, and it's a kid's cartoon. So we're gonna give him a unibutt, right? But this is the crack line, but that goes all the way up to give us the center line, because, right, like, what was the front of the arm is now the back, right? Right? And if this is our undie line, right? Maybe we can give it a little bit of meat here if we want to just sort of understand how the shoulder blades are going to work here in the back. All right? And then what is the hair doing back there? We didn't really address that. But we've got ear, which feels right to me. Right? And still thinking in terms of the triangles. But more than likely, his hair is going to... We could do something interesting. Right? I don't know. We can play with that. We can give him a fade or something. But I imagine it's probably just going to be a line like this. Right? Maybe hint at his nose a bit. But see, and we got the full, we can indicate a little heel back here. A little ankle bone. But see, we've got almost instant back view just by taking that front view and bringing it directly over. And maybe some things that were curved straight become straight, curved that become straight from this back view and curve on the front view, on the rear view. But, right? Yeah. Cone, triangle, pyramid. Yeah. The 3-point object, whether it is a square-based 3-point object, you know what I mean, pyramid, or if it's a cone, circular 3-point object. I mean, I guess it's not 3-point, but a pointed object. He is triangular in nature. Everything with Ace, triangular in nature. Triangular period. We could what? When did you? You trying to see some butt? Yeah, and this is too high. This is too high. This needs to come down here. So see Cown, thank you. No. Okay. But we're not. We're gonna keep it PC. Keep it professional. Keep it legal. So, yeah. Right. You could, but some of these can tweak a little bit, but we get almost instant back view when we just trace the front view and then get that center line and figure out where those shoulder blades are based on that spine and the little butt dimples that everybody's got back there. Right? So, yeah, that is some notes for you. No, not all right. So we got about 10 people in here. I was going to show folks where we are. We are working towards making a short film, and if you guys stick around, which typically happens, is while I'm getting it set up, people disappear. But you can hear the film there. This is our 2 minutes 5 second film. Hello, can I show the Milo one real quick? I'm squinting hard. Oh. Hold on, everybody. You want to see the Milo work that Fred has done? Yeah, I want to give him one more shot to go back on it. But he, I think he kind of. No, you're good. You're good. I think he didn't fully understand, or I didn't give a lot of direction in the beginning. I wanted to see where they were going. So he was trying to apply, I think, some of this bubble suit to it, but it would stray way too far from the design. And I'll probably do a little bit of critique there. But Thor, thank you for the follow. So, well, let's. And you can't see anything that I just showed because I am hidden. We will come back to it, Atomic, and welcome. All right, so here's the movie.
Second switch orbit? Mom, this is some perfection. Uh-huh. Milo, no, I touched Milo. You're just trying to get on Mom's good side. I'm the oldest. I fly first. Right, Mom? That's right, Ace. Aim for the top. The autopilot does all the flying. Mom? Can I go first? Uh-huh, Audra, good job. Audra. Oh my god. You dumb. You crashed the simulator. It took a week to reboot it. You're going last. Our I-901 test flight isn't for the co-pilot. Stupid. Don't call her stupid if you do our final system checks tonight. You just called her dumb. Let's start flight. But I didn't say it like that. I'm saying, if I can't get work done, no one will. I don't know who goes first. Go ask your father. What's he doing anyways? Dad! Dad! Dad? Who gets to fly first? Did you ask your mom? She said to ask you? Okay, let's make this scientific. First one to the ship gets to fly first. No running in the hangar! You cheated! Oldest equals fastest. Audra! What? Audra, the ship will do all the work. You're just along for the ride. Okay, Dad. Prepare for takeoff. All systems green. Ready for takeoff. Hi, Milo. Hi, Ace. You're clear for takeoff.
Oh, Lunar Thing, thank you for the galaxy. Yes, thank you very much. I am super excited about this project. It is gaining tons of internal momentum, and that running part was awesome. It looked amazing. Yeah, and I think the version you saw underneath that is I've kind of worked out the steps. But I've been going through and I've been like trying to refine it, which led us ultimately to where we are now because the design of the characters and trying to maintain their consistency on a shot like this is going to require a significant understanding of their design and structure. And you didn't see any of that because I flipped over to Milo. Let me say that again. So, in this running shot, the reason we have come back to character design is because in order to do this properly, we need to be consistent, right? And you can see the cuteness that we identified in Ace, you know, um, kind of disappears a little bit here. He gets a little bit too caveman-y in some shots. And we want to make sure that they maintain their kid-like design. And then we get some of it here towards the end, but I want it to be consistent throughout, which is why we're doing these designs. And he looks different there. He looks different in almost every shot because I'm drawing to draw. Tariq the photographer 2025. How long have you been doing this? Looks amazing. I wish I could help some. We can find a way for you to help, Crystal. Don't worry. The Xena glowing from his light, lol. Wait, hold on. I'm still thinking about the possible shot of Nate glowing at the end from licking the radioactive and Xena glowing from his light. Yeah, no, I mean that I am thinking about. I have not. Thank you for reminding me. Did I make a note? I think I made a note somewhere in his. So if you're watching, there's a frame in here. I don't know if we can catch it, but you'll see a frame where something weird pops on the screen.
Ask you? Okay, let's make this up.
Right? Did you see that? Where something pops on the screen for a blip. I don't know if I can catch it in here, but there's a frame in there where I made a note.
To ask you? Okay, let's make
That's where I made the note that said it blips on there for a second. It's like the shot of just um uh it's a close up of mom. She's in the foreground. He's in the background. His hair is glowing, and she's like, "Are you glowing?" And then we cut away. Maybe he's got like glow around his mouth, like almost like a milk mustache. Sorry, Tariq the photographer, if you're still on. You asked how long you've been doing this. Looks amazing. I have personally been at this project for like 4 to 5 years, and that's because I took a few breaks because I was recording the original version. It was going to be like a 72-hour sprint with my family, but my voice actors, my divas, my little divas who were doing my voice acting, i.e., my kids, got into a tiff with one another of who was sitting where and who was doing what, and I was sitting there first, and everybody went their separate directions and didn't come back for like 3 to 4 years. And then when I finally got around to trying incorporating the audio into the project, they had left out lines, because I had recorded them each separately and asked one of the kids to sort of drive the recording sessions. Um, and then I was like, oh, well, I need to re record line X and Z, whichever lines were missing. Um, and I went back and I listened to their voices from when we first recorded it, and they were babies. And now they're teenagers. And so it's like, hi, my name's Milo, right? In one recording. And then the other, when I listen to their voices now, it's like, hi, my name's Milo. And it's like, so now we have to re record everything because the span of 4 years for a 10-year-old is significant, right? They're 10 when you start, they're 14 when you try to re record it. And now they're like, yeah, uh, Audra, oh my God. Whereas it's like, Audra, oh my God. Yeah, so if you are looking at work with voice actors, I know women who can do great boy and girl voices. Yeah, I am wondering whether or not I'm going to keep the voice acting in house. Because I think they just want to get paid again. I paid them. Everybody's been compensated. Um, back when Turtledust had some funds. But yeah, let's yeah, we'll see. Oh yes, yes. We were. It's a LLC. I hired them, paid them, so that they can't come back and try and claim any rights to it. Nah, bruh. It was pay for hire work, bro. I don't care who you are. You can't. No, it's not your inheritance. I purchased the rights to your voice. I'm kind of had a hand in creating it, so yeah. Nah, no, and it was kind of a dual thing, and the idea that like um kind of show that we were a full on business and that we were hiring and paying employees. So critique for um, Milo on uh, Fred's design. So let's see. Nick's original. Let's drop that down. Right. So not sure where the miscommunication happened, but we're gonna dive into this because I think feedback is the best thing to do in order to assure that the team is on the same page with the intent, right? So, this is Milo's turn. Um, One of the things that I initially noticed was like it broke all the rules. from the original design. Um, what do we? Oh, let me get the comments. I forgot you have an LLC, and I started mine up very recently. Yep, simple hair, simple shape, nice. You might need more advice from you. Yes, yeah. Come to me if you have any questions. Got switch the screens, mate. Oh, okay. Yes, you can see now. You guys are all able to see what I'm drawing. I am on scaling my pen up too large. You guys like that big pen stroke? Okay. Okay, now we're on Zoom. Okay. Switch the screen. We can't see the stream. Oh. Ah ha ha. I was like, what are you guys talking about? You can clearly see it. I am look at it. Look at it. It's up there. How long did this take? This whole project is about 5 years in the making. And I've been at it for 7 months, almost 7 months now, streaming daily in the evenings to bring what we see on screen now to you. So, all right, is everybody happy? Everybody can see, right? We're gonna be drawing here together. I kind of wish you guys could see real time, but you know what? You guys want to see something cool, so I'm gonna turn on the horizontal, and that way you guys can see bloop, me draw in real time, right? Versus like what I was doing before, you didn't see it until I stopped drawing. And why does stupid TikTok think, oh, there's no activity? I mean, there's clearly activity. So I don't know what the heck is going on. Okay. So, first off, we've got a significant difference between the original drawing underneath, right, and what he created, right? So we've already violated size and structure, based on the design. And I think at one point when we were talking, I had talked about, some ideas, but that significant change in scale, size, ratio would impact a lot when we go back to redraw. My favorite shape? That's an interesting question. I think my favorite shape is probably a square. It's interesting because I have a tendency to... No, you know what? Honestly, from Hall? Is it from Hall or from Hale? This is my favorite shape. I don't know if there's a specific name for it, but it's the half circle. This was the first shape I would draw, and a lot of my characters in my early designs had this sort of... I would use this as a head shape. I don't know why. It was like my shape for heads. All right. I don't know why. That's my favorite shape, that half circle. All right. All right. Back to the critique. Distraction free. All right. Nice one. You call me Luca. Hey, Luca. And that's a unique shape. Semicircle, I think. Oh, excellent, Lunar. Thank you. Tariq the photographer. Sorry, my phone is acting up. Acting up. I don't know. It's TikTok or my something software. We're back. We're back in business. So first off, we can't violate the general shape I've given you. So I drew this because this is the basis from which the designers need to work from. The references were simply in reference to, I like the way the collar here on Steven Universe meets the head. And that was primarily the reason for bringing in these Steven Universe influences. These are all cute, but we don't want any of that body. We might be able to use some of this leg structure, but he's also got this collar thing going on here, right? So whenever we put Steven in a high collar thing, his head almost sits right at the edge of that collar, and that's why we went in there. And then, but we're also pulling from this angular guy here to get sort of Milo's shapes. I like this square toe, right? We're pulling in that. We're pulling in these bigger forearms than upper arm, right? Bigger bottom leg than top leg. You know, the legs taper out and down. Those are all the elements that we're pulling from to get this design. Would you suggest using, okay, semicircle, sorry, my phone's acting up software. Would you suggest using action figures for reference for comic industry art? You could for the posing. I don't know. If you got really character toys that have a pretty dynamic posing, yes. So there's a lot of ways to get to it. Clip Studio has a lot of like cool like posable 3D characters, but posable figures don't really help unless you have a real understanding of anatomy. They just help you to sort of like see it from all sides. So, all right. So one of the things we need to maintain for Milo is this ice cream shape, right down to his hips, right? Hey, non-identical. Thank you for the tiny bunnies. 7 tiny bunnies. 7 is my thing. So we want to maintain this ice cream shape. And then this is a cone, right? So, oh, thank you for helping me hit my goal. Awesome. And surpassing it, actually. So we want to maintain that general shape there. And then maybe we're not going to go as thick as Steven Universe, but Steven Universe also has a bigger head than his hair. So although we are almost at the edge with Milo's head, his hair really is what is going to fill it out for us, right? So bringing his hair kind of to the edge of that collar, right? But before we start to dig into those details, what I want you to do is to trace and break this character down into these shapes first, right? We got this almost like solo cup, right? And then in Milo's shape that's supposed to drive his design, it's supposed to be square, right? So although he is here a cylinder, we're going to build squares within that cylinder. It was literally for all the questions you answered for me. Really appreciate you for that. You're welcome. Sorry if I'm distracting you. No distractions. How would you describe your character in one word? This particular character? Milo? Middle child? That's 2 words. Milo. Sunny side. Or brighter side. Bright side? That's 2 words too. Is sunny side a single word? I don't think you can describe Milo in one word. Positive? So it's interesting, right? So my middle, who Milo's built on, kind of designed around, inspired by. No, Milo's inspired by my middle. When he was younger, of course, he was a chronically online little kid, iPad kid. You put kids on the internet, and they often find themselves encountering the dark side of the internet, right? Like, or just, in bad influences. This kid managed to find a website called The Bright Side, and it was this YouTube channel that was like all of this like positive affirmation and like how to survive situations should you find yourself in a specific situation, how to help people. It was like, of all the things you could have come across on YouTube or TikTok, or not YouTube at the time, you come across the one like positive bits of media, and it was like, and he just brings this like this positivity to everything, and to himself, and surrounds himself with it. It's interesting. But yeah, so we're just gonna try and start to break Milo down. And so maybe one way to, if you wanted to, you could even potentially make this a square cylinder, right? Right? If that's easier, right? Like find his center line, find Milo's center line, and then make this a diamond instead of a cylinder, right? Diamond shape. And then we start to sort of take advantage of Milo's squareness, and we might find something, right? So then we can make that a diamond too, right? And we're just going to build. And so if that's a diamond, this is probably going to come out like this and down like that. And we just want to think of Milo in terms of squares, right? So if the bottom of his foot was a square, right? It's a really interesting way to think about it, right? So he's got these square knees. But really the idea here is that you break Milo down into simpler shapes if you don't fully understand how I am coming, and I'm just thinking in terms of squares here. I mean, like, as we sort of like think about his design. Optimistic, yes, that's a good one. That's a good one. And it was, what did Luca? Oh, and Lunar and Luca. Right? And we're just kind of building him off of these shapes. His feet, I really like this foot here. He's supposed to have like a band over the top of his foot. That if you made it a square on the top and then a square on the side, and it's more of a rectangle, but rectangle, and then a rectangle here on top, and then he's got a tilted square at the tip of his toes. And then connecting those lines there. His whole foot. But I want you to sort of like not stray too far from what I've laid down. Try to understand it, try to replicate it, simplify it, but stay generally within the design that's already been established, right? Because these bubble shapes completely violate his square, right? His hair is a square and a square, right? So if you're doing anything other than a square when you're drawing Milo in certain things, then you are violating his design. What is it? Design rule. Design whatever. Right? And so, yeah. And even his face is a square on the front. Right. And this is kind of just sort of the foundation, but he will need to have some straights and curves, right? As we build him out. Because he is not a robot. He's a human boy. But design-wise, squares will help us capture who he is. And then making sure we always thinking of those center lines. This helps us to sort of understand his surface planes and his general structure. So even though this collar might eventually be circular, we are going to start by making it diamond shaped, and then we can round it out as we go. All right. So then once we drop that in there, we can throw another layer and then switch over to a darker color and maybe a thinner line. Right. So then that's when we go in and we start to think about it in terms of curves versus straights, right? So if we're going to round this out, we're going to have the hairlines, right? Maybe curve a little bit. Ear straight. We're going to definitely curve that front side of his face. And a little curvy nose. What? AI flying the ship? That's not cool. What's your advice for animators trying to get into the industry? My advice for animators trying to get into the industry, make an independent project first, then use that as your gateway to the industry. Indie is the new thing. If you want to work on a existing property and you do a lot of like super dope fan art that everybody loves and the internet is like, oh my god, this person makes the dopest fan art. But if you have an interest in like eventually making your own thing, I would say the industry is your security blanket plan, because it is I don't know. I don't want to say don't go for it. Don't go for the industry. But I would encourage you to try and do your own thing first if you haven't as a new animator. If you went to school for this and you didn't finish your student film, and the student film that you left school with was not to your standards or your satisfaction, I would say go back to that and finish it. And then enter it into film festivals. And then after you enter it into film festivals and you meet a bunch of people, then start to explore the industry. But the industry is a very, very daunting endeavor that requires a lot of like fortitude and sacrifice, and it will eat up young animators. And so I don't know. I think that was. I'm sorry, Luca. I actually want to steer you away from the industry at this point in your career, and say, um, find something stable and reliable, and then make your own film, because you could probably, in the beginning of your animation career, make just as much consistently posting to TikTok or YouTube as you would going from school to the industry, right? Unless you, what I found, and maybe I'm wrong. Hey, what's up, Illyrion? Is the people who did well in the industry had some sort of income support that allowed them to work for free, that allowed them to fall from gig to gig and not, and still have a reliable, consistent, um, you know, living situation. Um, that was my observation, is that the folks who did well in the industry had some sort of fallback plan, or they were uber talented, right? And if you're not one of those superstars, rock stars, who came out of one of the rock star schools, or are just a rock star, it is a very difficult path. But yeah, my professors always say that. Say what? Don't go to the industry. Let the industry come to you. Yeah. So, and I actually want this to be like this. Yeah, you can already see how much structuring that is really improving the design of this. I had a weird day. I love your art. Thank you, Peridot. Midnight Pearl. Thank you. OMG. Hi. What happened today, Illyrion? Oh, before we go into that, Illyrion, we got 11 people in here. We dropped down to 5. We're back up to 11. I want to show folks who have come in brand new the film, and so that you can understand what we're working on and why we're doing these character designs. Yeah, so for the 5 folks who have joined recently, Illyrion being one of them, this is our short film.
Mom, this is some of your best. You're just trying to get on Mom's good side. I'm Milo.
Bro! I don't know if that sounds weird, but any tips on how to simplify anatomy to fit the character design? Yeah, I will talk about that, bro, if you'll stick around once the film is finished playing through. Because that is a very good question.
You crashed the simulator. It took a week to reboot it. Our I-901 isn't 24 hours. Don't call her stupid and give you our ground system checks tonight. You just called her dumb and started flight. But I didn't say it like that. I was saying, I can't get work done. No one will. I don't know who goes first.
Simplification of character design is probably the most complicated part of character design.
Dad. Who gets to fly first?
In order to simplify, you kind of have to understand complexity.
To ask you? Okay, let's make this scientific. First one to the ship gets to fly first. No running in the hangar! Cheated! Oldest equals fastest. Audra? What? Audra, the ship will do all the work. You're just along for the ride. Okay, Dad.
Yeah.
Prepare for takeoff.
Yeah.
All systems green. Ready for takeoff.
So that's because
You're clear for takeoff.
the simplification requires caricature, so the pushing, right? So that's the movie for those of you who are new to here and new to me. Um, that is what we are making ultimately, which is why we're doing all of these character designs, and I'm live streaming every night to the detriment of my sleep schedule. Um, yeah. All right. So, bro asked about um, simplification, right? So, um, if I draw a complex, yeah, I'm going to do it here, but I'm going to go to pink. Let me switch over to pink. If I draw a complex or realistic human head, I need the music. No, I need the music. Right. Reem, thank you for the follow. Savan, thank you for the wow. Going from sketch to line art is so easy to lose composition. Yeah, and right, so yeah, and all kinds of interesting details. So let's say we draw a realistic ish human head, right? Based on anatomy and proportion and structure, right? Right. You've got all these rules that determine where things go and all right, how a nose is built and how the lips sit on the face, right? It's actually this line, right? Um, brow and where the eye sockets sit, you know. Right, the ear and where it sits and the neck, right? And then you got the bone structure, and you know, like you do all these things to draw something that you then want to simplify into a cartoon. So then you go, okay, you jump on another layer, right? And you want to simplify it. So you start to make simpler lines, right? But you have to, in order to make that work, you got to exaggerate things, right? Like this like realistic proportion is not going to work in a caricature or a simplified design. You've got to push things, right? Right? You've got to enhance what's there in order for it to work in when you simplify it, right? You got to enhance it. Right? You have to push it further if you're going to simplify, because it loses character when you when you you know, when you just draw it normally. So in order to capture the same thing, you've got to push some of those things. And I didn't do a very good job, but I've never been a very good character designer at all, right? You've got to push these things, make them bigger, make them more obvious, make them pointier, right? Because you're not just going from reality to cartoon. You're doing a caricature of what it is. So if you find that when you take something from complex to simplified and it loses something, it's because you have to enhance what it is you're trying to communicate. And yeah, it for me it took forever, but the secret is to do that. Draw a realistic picture, draw it again a little bit more caricatured, exaggerate certain portions of it, And then what you're going to find is like, oh yeah, because I exaggerated, it really enhances the fact that this person's got a strong arch or a big chin or wide nose or big cute, baby eyes. Who knows? But you really have to push those things because the caricature, the simplification requires amplification in order to maintain its complexity. What? What? Yeah. Steven Silver is a really good person if you want to know more about character design to look into. He is the designer of Kim Possible and all those awesome things, and he's got a pretty good system for how to caricature and find character in your designs, and to keep it really simple, right? Because we're taking it to animation, so we don't want to have to like draw a bunch of unnecessary lines. We want to capture the idea in as simple a means as possible. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna. And so, since Milo is based off of Isamu Dyson from Macross Plus, we're gonna steal some more of his design aspects. Oh, goodness. And bro, thank you for the follow. Thank you for the follow, bro. Right. Maybe use some of those design elements. I don't know. This line is an interesting one to imitate. But this should probably come over a little further. And I actually want these to go a little bit more straight down because he's just got these boots that come out. And although these are square, I want them to have a little point to them. And so, I didn't realize it, but I created a vector layer here. So I don't mind the idea of there being a break in the. Oop. So, how are we doing on time? Almost 1 a.m. here. Getting late for old man Butler. Old man Butler's got to get up in the morning. Get to work by a certain amount of time. Old bones don't wake so easily. Yeah. Milo. Milo Jones. Even that even looks better than the version we were kind of working from before, right? A little bit more structure, a little bit more consistent, a little bit more definition on the hands and the arms. I like that facial expression, but it's just Milo looking confused. But I don't know. There's some aspects of the original one that I want to keep as well. But it was easier to sort of build him once I went through in the pink and kind of understood those shapes and those structures that sort of underline what's going on. I had mentioned before, Fred, that you could trace him first to get a better understanding. But yeah, we want to follow very closely where I'm guiding you here and not stray too far from that. So give it another shot. I'll give more feedback, and awesome. Thanks for your continued efforts. Wait, I still haven't worked on my assignment. Why did I just think there was a DBZ inspo? Dragon Ball inspo? I am not a big fan of Dragon Ball. How many followers did I just lose? Hey, good morning, Jules Draw. How are you? It must be me, 1 a.m. here, there. Yes, yeah. And I need to go to bed because I'm up late, which, midnight's not a bad time to stream. You guys like to come out at midnight, but I guess a part of the world is waking up at midnight. You say you put out any Dragon Ball Z hate and you just watch the numbers fall. For so many people, that is the point of entry for anime, Dragon Ball Z. Oh man, Lunar, yeah. So it looks like you guys are waking up in Europe, on the eastern parts of Europe. Jermaine Cole, what don't you like about DB's Dragon Ball? See, and I don't know if it's Dragon Ball, but Dragon Ball was my first introduction to the sort of like power scaling trope, right? Where the character is just out to be stronger. And maybe I just need to sit down and watch it. But so Dragon Ball wasn't my entry point for anime. And maybe if it had been, I'd be more into the power scaling. And I'm not opposed to power scaling because I liked My Hero Academia. That was dope. But my intro to anime was Ranma. And it's it's a harem anime, so which is kind of like power scaling because he's like building up this harem of girls who are in love with him and stringing them all along. But really he's in love with the main character, Akane. Anyway, I guess I prefer the romance power scaling versus the fighting power scaling. Make love, not war, is kind of my thing. So, Goku's need to fight everybody is not really in line with my vibe. Yeah, I don't even really watch harem anime anyway either. What was the last good anime I watched? That I watched. I can't even think of one. Of course, I've been watching Invincible, but it's super violent and it kind of turns my stomach. But it's a power scale. Invincible is a power scaling animation. So, Rent a Girlfriend? Is that what harem anime has evolved into?
But you know what I'd like to see is like a reverse harem anime. No, yeah, is there that? You know, I'm sure there's a reverse harem anime. Um, you know, get myself a good butler. What is it? Butler Cafe anime. Send me some recommendations, Lyrion. So, okay. So I got about 5 minutes before I need to jump off. And I didn't get a chance to work on. So, uh, Fred is working on Milo. Audra. Brianna, I don't know if she's not still on, but Brianna is working on. Brianna is working on. Oh, let's see. Let's jump through. I'm working on Audra. Fred is working on Milo. Brianna is working on Ace, and let's see, yeah, Ace, which we did a critique on that, and I am probably going to be the one to do Xena/Mom. This character here, which has been the hardest one. I've been trying to design this character for years to get her right, and I'm not sure she's capturing everything, but if you go back to some of my other TikToks, you can see iterations of her. There's plenty of reverse anime. Bro, I hate these tape stuff. Tape stuff? I don't know why they ain't take the heart monitor sticker off my back. Like, dude. Oh, what happened? Got me folding like a lawn chair. Why do you have heart monitor tape? I like the costume designs you do. The 112 was wearing. Oh, yeah. Milo. Yeah, they're spacesuits. So I also have a version where they're in their uniforms. Is that this one? And I'm sure their uniforms will evolve over time. But yeah. So eggshell. We got eggshell, ice cream cone, she's just Mickey Mouse, and then I don't know, spiky oval. He's supposed to be an egg. Yeah. So, yeah, but it all copies Macross Plus. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, let's play the film one more time. I'm gonna watch it this time. I have to get to watch it when I play it for you. I'm trying to draw simultaneously, so I haven't really watched this latest version. More excitement, can't wait. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Let's watch it again. And then maybe we'll do a little review.
Seconds to reach orbit? Mom, this is some pure bed. I test my work. You're just trying to get on Mom's good side. I'm the oldest. I fly first. Right, Mom? That's right, Ace. Aim for the top. The autopilot does all of the flying. Mom? Can I go first? Audra, good job. Audra. Oh my god. Don't be dumb. You crashed the simulator. It took a week to reboot it. You're a girl, Miss. Our I-901 test flight isn't real.
Stupid Audra.
Don't call her
stupid.
You just
called her dumb.
But I didn't say it like that. I'm saying I can't get work done. No one does. I don't know who goes first. Go ask your father. What's he doing anyways? Dad! Dad! Dad? Who gets to fly first?
You just noticed mommy.
She said to ask you?
Yeah, actually, she ain't paying attention to. No, she's ignoring them.
Gets to fly
Straight
first.
up. They are talking around her.
No running in the hangar! You cheated! Oldest equals fastest. Audra! What? Audra, the ship will do all the work. You're just along for the ride. Okay, Dad. Prepare for takeoff. I'll set some
I
screen.
wrote more
Ready
than
for
excitement.
takeoff. Hi, Milo. Hi, Ace. You're clear for takeoff.
I wrote more than excitement earlier. I want to see character designs of Xena assistants too. Yes, they are coming. They are in the next. We have it set up in sprints. So because Cyan and Sienna and Cyan don't play as big a role, their character designs are secondary to these four characters because these four characters are in more of the shots than everybody else. So Cyan and Sienna will get a nice little turnaround. Yeah. In Sprint 2. And I think I need to check in to see what the dates are, because I think it's going to take longer to get our initial character designs done. But 1 a.m., ladies and gentlemen, and because I am going to have to get up in 6 hours, I need to go to bed. Thank you all for sitting through my critique of our current animators. There's a few of you I might be reaching out to invite to the Discord. So if you're interested, if there's a few of you I'll be reaching out to see if you're interested in joining us on the back end. But until then, I will see all of you again on the stream. Have a good night or morning or day or afternoon wherever you are in the world. And remember, Black Animation Matters. Bam. Good night. Hour and 47 minutes. Peace. 28 new followers, $4.28. Excellent. In the live stream over here. Good night. Purple app, i.e. Twitch. Peace.